a long necklace that he had gotten from a Zulu war chief named Denny Zulu. And the long necklace in Zulu is called an iziku. It had over 1,000 beads, and it was given to the chieftains. The beads were for bravery and leadership. And not just leadership in battle, but leadership with their people. So, and so Baden Powell thought that would be significant. He took one of those beads, and he was going to put it on a bootleg. Just pin it on a button. And then he later decided, no, I'll put it on the hat. And you know those campaign hats, those Smoky Bear hats they wore were kind of hot, so he said, well, I'm going to put it on a leather lace, and we'll wear 2 beads around her neck. So I have, and these beads I made, kind of in keeping with the tradition, I handmade these out of a boat art tree that was cut down in Richardson, Texas, Clarion Creek. And I turned these beads into some boat art was kind of a wood choice on our course. So I would like those to part. So I want you to take your dad's neckerchief off there. Why don't you put these on the bed? When I started making those beads, I'd never turned anything before in my life, and that was an interesting, it was definitely a labor of love at the end. Now, in 1918, as a commissioner from Scotland, a scouting commissioner from Scotland named W.F. Du Bois McLaren was visiting London on business. And you boys that have studied history, do you know what was going on, what had just happened in the early 1900s, 1914, before then? World War I, exactly. So England had some very impoverished sides, and the east side of London was pretty tough. There was, you know, you guys have seen the movie, the lady was flying, I think, the chimney sweeps. It was very cold. Mary Poppins, that's it. So I'm not a big movie guy. But that's so it was very, you know, there's coal bins, and they were camping in alleys and coal bins and in parks where there were several people, maybe vagrants, sleeping. So Mr. McLaren told Baden Powell he wanted to find an estate just outside of London that the boys would have clean air and could camp. So they formed a search committee. They even did that back in 1918. They found a place called Gilwell Park. And Mr. McLaren donated the money to purchase Gilwell Park, and then later donated the money to fix it up. And Baden Powell later talked him into making it the training center for scouting in England. And now it is basically the kind of the epicenter for wood badge training throughout the world. And everywhere in the world that we have a wood badge course, it's always at Gilwell Park, and we assemble at Gilwell Field. And in honor of Mr. McLaren's gift to scouting, we keep a swatch of the McLaren tartan on the back of this. They call that dove gray, but it's kind of pink. On the back of our neckerchief, and in honor of him, because it is very expensive at tartans, we're thrifty, so we just put a little swatch up there. If I could get the last piece of the regalia, let's keep these sacked up so the wind doesn't go anywhere. The last piece of the regalia is called a woggle. And the woggle is a neckerchief slide, and it's actually a Turk's head knot. It's a 2-strand, 4-bit Turk's head knot made out of leather cord. And if you look at the Turk's head knot, it appears to have no beginning and no end, much like the service that these scouters have given and will continue to give. Like some we have in the back, like Teddy Sosnowski, I know he's been in scouting for a while, so wood badge is just the beginning, and sometimes there is no end. So now there's 2 stories on this. One, Skipper Gidney was a camp chief at Gilwell Park at that first wood badge course. And he would tie a Turk's head knot and slide it over his neckerchief. Now in those days, the neckerchief was a tool, not just decoration like it is today. It was a full square cloth, made a good sling, it was good in first aid. You could cool yourself down with it, wet it, and then dry it, put it back on your neck. So in keeping with that, he used the Turk's head knot. He would untie it, use it for the string in his bow to do fire by friction. And he taught fire by friction at summer camp at Gilwell Park. But it didn't have a name then. He used it, and it wasn't really official. Well, in the 1930s, an Australian by the name of Bill Shankly had heard about the Boy Scouts of America using old critter bones and pieces of leather and pieces of wood and rocks, just about anything they could get a hole in, and painting them up and making them into neckerchief slides, and they called them boondoggles. Well, evidently a boondoggle in Australia had a totally different meaning. So they said, he coined the term woggle. And so from then on, it's the official part of the regalia for wood badge is a two-strand leather woggle called woggle. So I should put that in and tie that all together.
I got all sorts of tokens to take off.
Well, somebody told me that Beading didn't like certificates, but I was at Gilwell Field a couple of years ago, and there were thousands of certificates. So, in honor of Beading really liking certificates, I have a certificate for each of these gentlemen with their course certificate number. They need to buy more regalia. And let's see. Here we go. Got it. And also, in keeping with on my course, since we made everything out of bow dart, the beads, the name tags, I sent some bow dart to Case, some slabs, and they put bow dart on a trapper knife, and so I've got one of these that's numbered for each one of you guys.
Wow.
And guys, I know you guys probably won't see Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Moyer later this evening, but sometime today go by and thank Mr. Rippel for spending a lot of time, several hundred hours, to take this training and complete his ticket. And we're very proud of all these gentlemen for that, because it is for you boys that we're here and we do this. Thank you, guys. Woo! Mr. Senior Patrol Leader, Scoutmaster.